Ray Nagin, by the way, is here as a guest of the US Study Centre at Sydney Uni. Well, far too often in this country, it seems people with serious challenges like brain injuries or mental illness get pushed to the sidelines of society. But as 630's Max Futcher recently discovered, give what we might term untapped talent even half a chance and you'll be amazed at what they can achieve.
When Amanda Kay plays music, it's her passion and her therapy. You listen with your smile. Life has been a twisting, sometimes bumpy journey for the 39-year-old. What should have been the job of a lifetime in Antarctica 14 years ago left her with post-traumatic stress and she retreated from the world.
I was suffering quite badly from my illness at the time, and I was isolating myself and staying away from social engagements.
Isolation was also holding Luke Moroney back. The 27-year-old has Asperger's syndrome.
I was in a state of psychological paralysis, basically. I wouldn't leave my house. I was overcome with anxiety.
Both Luke and Amanda discovered a program which has changed their lives through education. It's called Catalyst Clemente, and it allows a gateway to university for people in margins.
Typically they'd be someone who's experienced some difficulty in their life. They may have become homeless, they may have had a mental illness, they may have had an acquired brain injury. Something that will have happened that's taken them off the course that the rest of us would normally expect to experience.
The Certificate of Liberal Studies eases the students into the university environment through smaller classes, but the lessons learned go well beyond the textbooks.
They go from feeling disabled, if you like, or unable to pursue an interest to a point where they actually can see themselves succeeding.
This course has really, made me, I've gone from surviving to thriving. It really has improved my life.
This program is based on the belief that poverty is about much more than material goods. It's also about social inclusion. And society has much to be gained from people who might otherwise fall through the cracks.
We learn as much as lecturers from the students themselves.
Lindsay Farrell is one of Luke's lecturers at the Australian Catholic University.
The surprising thing and the great thing about this program is that when people are given an opportunity, sometimes we find just the most remarkable talent and ability.
The program exists not through government funding but private support, and they need much more of it to survive and allow other people like Amanda and Luke to break through into university and a better life.
I've become more confident. I feel like a more productive member of society. It's stimulating my brain. Maybe I can be of some use again.
Luke wants to do something in politics, and listening to him, it's hard to believe just 3 years ago he was too shy to speak.
We're a community of opportunity. It's a community. We're a community of learners, and we all kind of feed off each other. We help each other, and we interact with people, and it's getting people who are voiceless. It's giving them a voice and a chance to shine.
Great stuff. Next up, if you're a pet person, tonight, if you're Tasmanian, take your pick. He or she can be the apple of your eye as the Apple Isle leads the way on same-sex marriage. And to prove the point, we've got a marriage proposal and the man mountain with quite literally an axe to grind.
I think this is past politics. This is about two people in love.
G'day and welcome again. Also tonight, Max Futcher with an uplifting yarn about folk who found themselves behind the 8 ball, now thriving at university. A tale of what people can do if they're just given a chance. And the nurse in the UK they dubbed the Angel of Death, who's now apparently demanding a killer payout.
Surely they know I've not done anything wrong.
Before that, in an Australian first, the most unlikely of states has raced ahead of Canberra on the hotly debated issue of marriage equality. Today, a motion in the Tasmanian Parliament gave the thumbs up to same-sex wedlock. Just a motion at this point, the move doesn't make it legal, but it does make the Apple Isle the country's front-runner on the nationally divisive issue. But reporter Mark O'Brien tells us that the cause has a number of unlikely supporters.
It's our smaller state that's big on the environment and now big on equality. Tasmania is also famous for David Foster, a world champion wielding an axe, who's throwing his considerable weight behind same-sex marriage.
It was a thing that she said, Dad and Mum want to sit down and talk to you. She started to cry, and I don't want to embarrass you, Dad. I don't want to upset you, but I'm gay. And I said, so? I still love you.
His daughter's happiness makes this very public issue very personal.
This is about two people in love, whether they're two men or whether they're two ladies in love. And I think that's what life's all about. If you love each other and you want to commit to that love, surely in this beautiful world that we live in, that's what Australia's all about.
Foster's not the only one who wants gay couples given a fair go. Tasmanians Tracy and Solito have been together nearly 8 years and would like the option of walking down the aisle together.
It means so much to families. You become a member of someone else's family when you get married. So it's that extent as well.
But it's also a legally binding contract that really recognises your partnership, your relationship.
Do you want to get married?
Maybe. We'd like to have that option.
Yeah, it is about choice. For myself, I probably would. I know Solito isn't sure. Yeah, I think I would like to, but, you know.
I haven't thought about it that much because I can't.
But it may not be long before they can. The Tassie Parliament passing a motion to support marriage equality, calling on the federal government to make it legal nationally. Local Greens leader Nick McKim is leading the debate.
In effect, to say to a group of people that you aren't worthy of being able to access this institution, the institution of marriage, is in effect saying to those people that they're second-class citizens.
Premier Lara Giddings delivered the ALP support the Greens needed.
This will again show the rest of Australia that Tasmania is a very progressive place.
But Liberal leader Will Hodgman is old school.
Marriage as an institution should be reserved for a man and woman. That's how it's defined under Commonwealth legislation, and we think that's appropriate.
And if pressure on Canberra fails, the Greens have a plan B.
If the Commonwealth Parliament doesn't act in a timely way, then we will move in the state parliament to attempt to provide for that at a state level.
So you're confident that Tassie can go it alone here on this one?
Certainly Tassie can go it alone.
The legal advice that I have says that we cannot go it alone.
On the street, the question isn't why, it's why not?
And I'm a straight person, but we're all equal.
I don't see why not. Wouldn't happen in Queensland, where I come from.
Why not?
It's too regressive. They're rednecks. They're all rednecks in Queensland.
At least 60% of Australians want this reform. At least 60% of Tasmanians want this reform. There's majority support.
Gay activist Rodney Croom says Tasmania has come a long way.
Many mainlanders will find it ironic that Tasmania is leading on this issue because we were the last state to decriminalise homosexuality in the 1990s, and we had a reputation back then for being, as one British newspaper called us, Bigots Island.
Aside from the political and moral issues surrounding same-sex marriage, there's also a financial issue. The tourism and wedding industries could be in for a bonanza if gay marriage becomes legal here. Supporters say it would create a brand new market, and that would deliver a financial boost much needed by this state.
This could deliver an economic boost in the region of $130 million over 3 years.
Civil celebrant Maxine Lowry's workload would increase.
It's a win-win. It's a win for our economy. It's a win for people who want this. I can't see any losers.
And at the famous Cascade Brewery, their summer receptions are booked until 2014, but there's room for a boom.
A lot of people's dreams is to get married in a brewery as well, and with these unique gardens, it's a fantastic reception venue as well as a ceremony venue.
Actually, and she hasn't proposed.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for it to be legal as well, you know. I don't want to go breaking the law.
The debate's getting really interesting. Well, depending on which side of the political fence you sit, Wayne Swan being gonged International Treasure of the Year has been met with either humble acceptance or snide giggles. And oddly enough, along the way, the opposition's taking the credit. Well, a little earlier, I spoke with the Liberals' Andrew Robb. You're the opposition's finance minister, I understand.
That's right, that's correct, George.
So you're the alternate finance minister of the country?
I am indeed.
Right, so if you got a gong like this one that Wayne Swan got, would you'd be pretty chuffed, I imagine?
Well, I would be, certainly if I'd felt I deserved it.
Right.
Yes, I would be. In fact, any time I see an Australian get an award, you know, I feel pretty good about it. But honestly, on this one, I'm still trying to work it out. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I'd put money on the fact that you don't think he deserves it or that he's earned it. Am I right?
Well, it's not just whether I do or not. I think, George, I think if you ask the average person in the street who keeps stopping me wherever I go, that'd be the answer too.
Well, let me quote you exactly what the people who gave him this award said. They said that Mr Swan has been awarded this for his careful stewardship of Australia's finances and economic performance, both during and since the global financial crisis. Throughout that time, Australia has not only avoided falling into recession, but has been the quote-unquote best performing of the world's developed market economies. That's hardly equivocal. That's a very serious suggestion to make if it's wrong from an international perspective.
Well, you know, the facts about the economy are correct, but it's a question of why, I suppose. You know, I think if I was Wayne Swan 4 years ago, just 4 years ago, and I took over an economy with $45 billion of assets and a $30 billion surplus,
well, I think he's more or less acknowledged
all the rest.
He has acknowledged the performance of previous treasurers and governments, actually.
Well, I don't care. What I'm saying to you is if I took over all of that, I do think, and a pipeline full of business, which really kept us going through the worst of the global financial crisis. I mean, the fact of the matter is, George, that, you know, we've seen waste at a level we've never seen before. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. We've got a debt now approaching $250 billion gross debt.
What you seem to be saying, though, is that they're useless economically in the handling of the economy, so somehow or other managed to con this international magazine, which gives this gong out every year, into thinking that they're miles better than they really are.
Well, this is a Eurozone magazine. Compared to Europe, you know, we're miles ahead. The rest of the world is a basket case at the moment. All of the major developed economies, from the US right through Europe, we've been blessed with the China phenomena, and you know, this government took over the best economy in the world by a long shot. So, you know, the fact is, despite all that, we now are in a very vulnerable position. If we weren't, well, he would deserve it, but we are now in a very vulnerable position if commodity prices come off.
Rob, good to talk to you. Thanks for that.
Thanks, George. All the best.
Well, for what it's worth, overnight the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, also said that this country's economy was in the best fiscal shape in the Western world. Hot on the heels of the Murdoch Press phone tapping scandal, sections of the British media are in strife again, this time for pointing an accusing finger in the wrong direction. An English nurse is suing for a gigantic sum after being branded the Angel of Death. Here's Natasha Exelby.
For 2 months, the media has been chasing Rebecca Layton. Now she's come to them.
How are you?
All right.
Lovely to see you.
The warmth is a stark contrast to the chilling reception the nurse received after being charged with murdering patients at a Manchester hospital. She was accused of spiking their saline drips with insulin. Now she's cleared of those charges and she can finally speak about the day police banged down her door.
Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. They arrested me. I thought I'd be home for tea time because surely they know I've not done anything wrong. Obviously had no idea what was to come.
It was a fierce trial by media, newspapers dubbing her the Angel of Death.
And I pleaded with the police every day, all the time, just please don't stop looking. Don't stop with me, because if you do, then surely the person that has or you've done these horrific things is still going to be out there.
The 27-year-old is suing for defamation and she's likely to receive a six-figure sum.
The newspapers would have known when they took a photograph of her and published it from Facebook, and it was her at a party or dressed up, and then put the headline underneath it that suggested that this was the face of a murderer, that they were dealing in a huge cliche and that obviously it was going to be prejudicial.
Her life will never be the same.
It's hard to even say about having a normal life because, like, even now my life isn't normal. Obviously, I'm living at my parents'. I'm not living where I used to live. Obviously, I'm not working. I can't go outside my house without people taking pictures of me. I can't walk down the street on my own because I'm kind of a bit scared, really.
Rebecca is still suspended from Stockport Hospital with allegations she stole 3 boxes of painkillers.
I'm so passionate about my job and looking after patients, and that's what I do.
But perhaps what's most concerning about this bizarre ordeal is while Rebecca Layton didn't kill those patients, someone did. And they're almost certainly still working at Stockport Hospital.
You really do have to wonder, don't you, whether the British yellow press will ever learn. Still ahead, we speak of an American who guided an entire city through hell and back with mixed results, but boy, does he point the finger. And how do the country's animal lovers manage to blow billions on their pets? Are there any of us, other than very young kids, who don't remember Katrina, the monster hurricane in 2005 that smashed into the US city of New Orleans, wreaking havoc, devastation and death? How could you forget? The mayor at the time was Ray Nagin, who copped plenty of blame in the aftermath. Outspoken and highly political, he's currently visiting Australia, and I caught up with him earlier today. Mr Mayor, should I talk to you that way? Should I call you? You can call me Ray. Right. As the former mayor, 6 years down the track post-Katrina, do you think New Orleans, your hometown, is better or worse as a result of that experience?
It was a devastating storm, and New Orleans had its problems before, and we went through a very difficult period. But in year 6, I would venture to say that we're a little ahead of schedule.
We were shocked as Australians when we saw that the United States of America, the most powerful nation on earth, didn't appear to be ready for that hurricane.
The entire country was not ready. And in addition to that, this was a catastrophic historic event that violently collided with partisan politics, race, and class. What you're seeing in America with Obama and the Tea Party was the start of it was Katrina, because you had a Republican president, a Democrat for governor.
So politics reared its
ugly
ugly head.
They were tussling over power and control.
But nobody seemed to want to take the rap for it.
Well, nobody took the rap, but everybody took the rap eventually, because the people were looking at this, not only locally, but around the world, and saying, this can't possibly be America. And the thing that concerns me the most right now is what have we really learned from Katrina? And are we ready for the next Katrina? And I'm not sure we are. I'm not sure we are.
Why is that?
I think we've learned some lessons. But the institutional issues that we struggled with is still the same legislation, the same bureaucracies in place.
So what you seem to be saying is it's not just a matter of making quite sure that the levees are better and work better next time.
Since Hurricane Katrina, just in the United States, there's been over 400 major declared disasters. The numbers are increasing every day. Around the world, they're increasing. But here's the thing. Natural disasters, the trend is natural disasters are now being linked with man-made disasters. Hurricanes, levees. In Japan, it was a tsunami and nuclear power. And if that trend continues, you're going to see more and more catastrophic historic events.
You've actually been accused of being a conspiracy theorist. I mean, you've talked about politics being involved, you've talked about racism, you've talked about class. I mean, are you a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, there was lots of things that happened. The best of people came out and some of the worst. I started to wonder what was really going on when I stayed with the people. I was in the Hyatt Hotel right next to the Superdome, and then all of a sudden these Blackwater-type guards showed up and said they were here to protect the mayor.
You actually described some of those guys as the Ku Klux Klan with badges.
Well,
was it that bad?
That's
Do you think
some of the police officers.
Yeah, but that was you think there were people out there who saw this as an opportunity to get rid of some Negroes?
There were people in our city who, at the time, it was only a small group of officers that were living out some of their wicked, deadly fantasies. Absolutely.
You said, I think you described it as an evil opportunity, or they were evil opportunists.
It was, and you know, fortunately, there have been some trials recently where it's about a dozen police officers that have gone on trial and been convicted for some really horrible things that they did.
But you have been accused of being paranoid about this.
Well, you know, paranoid is just dependent upon the perspective of the person. I was in the middle of Hurricane Katrina. My federal government and my state government wouldn't come to our rescue when I thought they would. I had Blackwater guards. I had all sorts of other crazy things happening. I think the average person would have had a little paranoia during that.
It was a crazy time. Would you like to have to live through it again?
I would never want to live through it, and I hope that no one else has to go through it. That's why I'm going around the country, around the world, sharing our experiences.
It seems to me, listening to you, that your marriage, what we should learn from something like Katrina is that we haven't made the link properly between natural and man-made disasters.
I think that's a trend that's really concerning me right now. These nuclear power plants, the economies that are affecting them. I just hope that we will step back as humans and analyze our risk and make the appropriate adjustments.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
Ray Nagin, by the way, is here as a guest of the US Study Centre at Sydney Uni. Well, far too often in this country, it seems people with serious challenges like brain injuries or mental illness get pushed to the sidelines of society. But as 630's Max Futcher recently discovered, give what we might term untapped talent even half a chance and you'll be amazed at what they can achieve.
When Amanda Kay plays music, it's her passion and her therapy. Life has been a twisting, sometimes bumpy journey for the 39-year-old. What should have been the job of a lifetime in Antarctica 14 years ago left her with post-traumatic stress and she retreated from the world.
I was suffering quite badly from my illness at the time, and I was isolating myself and staying away from social engagements.
Isolation was also holding Luke Moroney back. The 27-year-old has Asperger's syndrome.
I was in a state of psychological paralysis, basically. I wouldn't leave my house. I was overcome with anxiety.
Both Luke and Amanda discovered a program which has changed their lives through education. It's called Catalyst Clemente, and it allows a gateway to university for people in margins.
Typically they'd be someone who's experienced some difficulty in their life. They may have become homeless, they may have had a mental illness, they may have had an acquired brain injury. Something that will have happened that's taken them off the course that the rest of us would normally expect to experience.
The Certificate of Liberal Studies eases the students into the university environment through smaller classes, but the lessons learned go well beyond the textbooks.
They go from feeling disabled, if you like, or unable to pursue an interest to a point where they actually can see themselves succeeding.
This course has really made me, I've gone from surviving to thriving. It really has improved my life.
This program is based on the belief that poverty is about much more than material goods. It's also about social inclusion. And society has much to be gained from people who might otherwise fall through the cracks.
We learn as much as lecturers from the students themselves.
Lindsay Farrell is one of Luke's lecturers at the Australian Catholic University.
The surprising thing and the great thing about this program is that when people are given an opportunity, sometimes we find just the most remarkable talent and ability.
The program exists not through government funding but private support, and they need much more of it to survive and allow other people like Amanda and Luke to break through into university and a better life.
I've become more confident. I feel like a more productive member of society. It's stimulating my brain. Maybe I can be of some use again.
Luke wants to do something in politics, and listening to him, it's hard to believe just 3 years ago he was too shy to speak.
We're a community of opportunity. It's a community. We're a community of learners, and we all kind of feed off each other. We help each other, and we interact with people, and it's getting people who are voiceless. It's giving them a voice and a chance to shine.